This is your daily horoscope for Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. All times are Pacific Standard Time. The main characters of the day are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. The action starts out around 9 a.m. when the moon in Scorpio forms a trine with Venus in Pisces. This is a wonderful way to start out the day. The moon represents your inner world. Venus is a planet of connection. So this could look like having a sweet interaction with someone else, receiving a thoughtful text message, or even some sort of intriguing opportunity in your emails. Maybe you really are feeling sweet, sentimental, and craving affection around this time. Maybe you are making progress on a creative goal as well. In general, you are waking up and feeling like things are going in the right direction. Around 10:30 a.m., the moon in Scorpio is going to form an opposition with Uranus in Taurus, and this is going to add an element of surprise to your day. This can kind of shake your emotional foundation, so that could look like really exciting news that lights you up and leaves you feeling energized and inspired, but it could also look like something that kind of finally prompts you to really feel the feelings you've ignored and have a good cry. This is also going to bring some sort of surprise to your day, so maybe there's some sort of responsibility that pops up that requires your attention. Maybe plans change or get canceled last minute as well. Around 12 p.m., the moon in Scorpio forms a trine with Saturn and Pisces. And while this is a gentle connection, this also just makes me feel grief thinking of it. This could be a great time to kind of process some of those feelings that you've ignored. And Saturn is also a planet of time. So maybe there are some feelings that you haven't been able to access for quite some time, or that you've been boundaried or put a wall up around yourself. This can help you kind of feel into those feelings from a more mature standpoint, and even discuss boundaries and expectations in your relationship with productivity and in a compassionate way. This is also really lovely energy for seeking guidance and support from people who you admire and respect. And the energy can also be quite productive if there is something that's tedious on your to-do list that you need to get done. And this energy flows nicely because around 6 p.m., the moon in Scorpio is going to form a trine with Mars in Cancer. And Mars is a planet of action, but also anger and excitement. So this can be a really motivating energy. Maybe you are busy getting things done, but this could also be a little bit of a spicy energy. Sometimes it can coincide with a sexy encounter or a flirty text, especially if you have water placements in your chart. And Mars is also the planet of courage and protection. And so this emboldens you to be the most courageous version of yourself, to stand up for what you believe, and to really protect the most vulnerable. So this is a great time to raise awareness for specific mutual aid organizations, to warn your neighbors if there are ICE raids in your neighborhood, and to call your representatives and demand change. Download the 5 Calls app. It could not be any easier. Next up, around 7 p.m., the moon in Scorpio is going to form a trine with Mercury in Pisces. And this is really lovely for sentimental, thoughtful, compassionate conversations. This is also amazing for divination work. Your intuition is heightened. So if you have any gut feelings or pings around this time, listen to it. You are probably right. Your instincts are spot on. You could also have some sort of really thoughtful exchange with someone. Maybe you receive a compliment. Maybe you're telling someone how much you love them or appreciate them in your life. If you have to work on some sort of writing or speaking project, things are flowing and going smoothly. Around 7:30 p.m., the moon enters Sagittarius, and then around 9 p.m., the moon in Sagittarius forms a trine with Neptune in Aries. And this is going to be the first time that the moon in Sagittarius is meeting with Neptune in Aries since Neptune first entered Aries at the end of March. This is also very gentle, compassionate, healing energy. It's great for having meaningful interactions with others, for discussing philosophies, for opening your mind, for expanding other people's perspectives. Also great for engaging in divination work or working with your creative mind as well. And finally, around 11 p.m., Mercury is going to enter Aries. Mercury is the planet of communication, information, news. It is the way that we interact with others, who we socialize with. It is how we listen and understand the world around us. It is the subjects that capture our interest and attention. So this is really interesting energy, especially because part of our Mercury retrograde story was in the sign of Aries. So this is actually going to bring you back to March 3rd, which was the last time Mercury entered Aries and was at this specific point in the sky. So you are still working through the final pieces of your Mercury retrograde story, but you might feel like there's more momentum. You're feeling more confident and courageous in the decisions you're making, especially in any new projects that you're starting or whatever you want to focus on. When Mercury is in Aries, you have a lot of energy, but you don't necessarily have that drive to commit. That will come when Mercury is in the sign of Taurus, which is coming soon. So don't get down on yourself if you don't stick with every single idea that kind of pops into your mind. But this is a great time to adopt a beginner's mindset, to be courageous, and to just try new things. Mercury in Aries is also incredibly honest and direct. It is ruled by Mars, which is that planet of severing and boundaries. And so you really say what you mean.